Okay, in order to create your character, I've already got one here, but if you were going to create a brand new character, you'll simply come down here to the bottom where it says create, and you'll click the button that says create. You'll be given an option of either choosing a guardian character, which are the characters that are basically following the vigil with the gods of the vigil watching over them, or you can choose a defiant character, and the defiants have decided that they're going to use technology instead of the gods to be able to bring them back. I usually tend to go with the defiant, so I'm going to create another defiant character. Once you create this, you're going to have an option of 6 different um, characters that you can create to begin with. These are broken down into 3 races with a male and a female of each. So first you would have the male Eth, which is the human type character, or a female Eth. And you can see you have a kind of a demonstration over here of what each one would look like. It seems to be random as to what kind of class it shows up as, but it will give you a rough idea of what your character will be. After the Eth, you have the Kalari. You have the male Kalari. And then you have the female Kalari. And again, these skin tones actually do come in multiple shades, and we'll be able to change that later. These are just examples of what we have. And then the final race are the Bommy, where you have the male Bommy, and then you have the female Bommy. Now, I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to deal with one of the humans. Just make it nice and simple. We've got a female human that I'm going to work with here. So we'll click Next. Now you have the option of, do you want to be a warrior, a cleric, a mage, or a rogue? Now you can look around in the corners and you can kind of see a little bit about each one. It tells you the warriors are frontline fighters. They wear plate armor. The clerics are spiritual experts that wear chainmail. The mages are spellcasters who wear cloth. And the rogues are skirmishers who wear leather. Now I've played a bunch of different classes and everything. I tend to like either the rogue or the cleric. Those tend to be my favorites. I do know other people that choose others, but I'm going to choose the cleric on this one. It's the one that we initially came in looking at as our options. I'm going to click Next. Oh, before I go to Next, the gear preview level right here, if you click on that, that'll just show you kind of what it looks like mid-range, mid-game, and what it looks like as in-game type armor. So you can actually click on that and see kind of what your character armor progression will look like. So we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to click Next. Now when I select my cleric, you'll get this in any one that you choose, whether it's warrior, cleric, rogue, or mage. They're going to give you a breakdown of preset builds over here on the left hand side. It's going to give you the symbol, tell you what you've chosen, where I've chosen cleric here, and then it's going to give you these little pre-builds. Now, the way that you would need to understand this is the little blue shield, like this first little icon here, is a tank shield. That means that this is a tank build. The little red sword icon, that is a DPS icon. The little green and white plus icon is a healing icon, and the little purple and white flag icon is a support icon. Most games that I've played before tend to have the tank, which is the person that wants to keep the aggro of any game on them. And then they have the DPS, who are the people that are supposed to basically burn down the enemy as fast as they can, do as much damage as they can. And then you have the healer that tries to keep everybody alive. This one actually also has the support role, which is kind of a unique concept because the support role is something that can not only throw a bunch of buffs on the party, but also has the ability to become like an off tank or an off heal for the party as well. So it's a kind of a unique concept, and personally I kind of like it, but it's something that takes a little bit of getting used to. Now I'm going to go with a basic tank build because I initially started off liking the DPS and kind of graduated towards liking the tank more in this game. I've always enjoyed being a tank in other MMOs that I've played. So I'm going to go back to the tank role. I'm going to be the Seraphic Guard. But you can choose anything down here on this side that you like. And over on the right hand side of the screen, it'll tell you what it does. A Seraphic Guard over here says a defense cleric who uses their face to shield them from vicious assaults as well as to mend minor wounds. And then it tells you who provides the basic guide. Now this guide is pre-built in so that I can just click OK and it will automatically accept talent points. I don't have to actually understand my souls. I don't have to understand anything about it. I just click add soul points. It's automatically going to add this to my character. So I can go in and I can change it later if I want and make it to where I have to choose. But as long as I stay under this pre-built, it's going to tell me exactly where I need character points, where I need soul points, so that I can progress and never really have to look a lot into that soul tree. It's not the strongest, but it's a good one. It's a good solid tree to get you started. Now, when you're choosing these, you'll notice that a lot of these are in white, but a couple of them are in red. If I click down here where it says Soul Harvester, that one's red. It tells me Soul Harvesters specialize in soloing multiple enemies at once, but do not deal as much single target or area of effect damage as more specialized builds. You get to see kind of what it looks like, but you'll see that with the red, there's also a little lock icon. When you hover over the lock icon, you have a little pop-up that appears, and it says Requires Storm Legion Souls. The Prognosticator down here has a lock over it, and when I hover it, it says Requires Dream Soul Pack. These are additional packs that you can purchase either for real money or for credits in the Rift store, and I'll explain in a later video how you can get those credits if you do not want to be spending real money on the game. But those for right now are not options to us, so I'm going to go with one of them that's white, and like I said, I prefer the tank build, so I'm going to go to the Seraphic Guard and click Next. Now I get this entire big screen where I can sit here and I can adjust everything about the character. So I've got the face shape here. I can make it very squared, very narrow, very round and pudgy. You've got a bunch of options up here. You can just move back and forth. And just you move within this triangle to shape the face the way that you want the face shaped. Now on the features, you can click these arrows, and these arrows will actually adjust how your character looks. And what you'll see is slight adjustments to the face as we go back and forth in the features. So the way that the features started to me didn't look too bad, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave them like they were. I can now choose the eye color. The eye color started off as kind of a blue color, but I can click on a brown, I can click on a green, and it'll change the eye color to match whatever eye color I choose from this palette set. So I can say, yeah, we'll stay with that light bluish color. With the purple overtones in the hair, it kind of works nice. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Next we have the eyes. You can look right here at the eyes, and what you'll see is the eyes are pretty much middle of the road. If I scale them down, you'll see that they kind of go down, and if I scale up, you'll see how they're getting smaller and larger. You can actually choose how big you want the eyes to be. And then we can also choose the rotation. With the rotation, you can actually angle them outsides down to up. And this allows you to have the full range of appearances of most people like we would encounter in the everyday world. Now, just like the eyes are a part of what you encounter in the everyday world, another feature that a lot of games seem to overlook is the eyebrow itself. That's the next option right here, is the eyebrow. And you can actually move it back and forth, and it changes the way that the eyebrows appear. Some are very thin and plucked, watched after very carefully. Others are thick, not cared for as much. Some of them actually shoot way up, like it's something that they've purposefully tried to expand and make go that way. So I mean, you got to kind of look through here and find one that you like the looks of. And do you want one that's a little bit more natural? Do you want one that's a little bit more customized, the characters played with? You know, you're going to have to choose that on your own and see which one you like the best. And once you find the one that you like, you just go with that, move on, and the next option is the nose. When you turn the character slightly sideways, all you got to do is just click out here where the character is and drag your mouse side to side like this when you click it. So you click the left mouse button, and if I drag to the left, I can turn the character this way, and if I drag to the right, the character turns the other way. So I'm going to turn the character slightly to one side here so I can see the nose, and I can work on that. And these two nose options over here say size and tilt. As I adjust the size, it doesn't seem like a whole lot's going on from the side. So we're going to come back to that one here in just a second. But the tilt, where it's sitting right now, if I start adjusting that, you'll see that the nose actually moves up like a little pug nose, or it'll come all the way down like a hook nose. And you can choose anywhere between, or you can choose one of the extremes. That's your option. When you turn back to the front, what you'll see is that this size is referring to the width of the nose itself. You can see here where it's kind of a very thin nose in the structure that it has now. And if I go out to this way and go to the other extreme, you'll see that it widens up, how far it goes back and forth from side to side. So you've got to choose a nose that you like the looks of and find one that you actually say, yeah, I think that looks good for my character. Then we're going to go with about midway. We're going to have a slight pug appearance, not much. Now the last option on this left side is at the bottom, says the mouth. The mouth is going to be focusing right here at the lips, and what it does is it's going to determine how big your lips are, how wide they are across your face. So if I take this and I shrink it all the way to the bottom, you'll see that the lips go down a little bit in size and then it gets a little bit less wide from side to side. And if I slide up the other way, you'll see that it gets a little bit larger. Okay, until you move it fast, you don't see a lot of difference, but you can actually see the difference if you go from one extreme to the other. And I usually set it pretty close to the middle, but sometimes I'll adjust depending upon the shape of the face itself. Because when the shape of the face is elongated especially, you'll find that the teeth show more, and I'll have to go with a wider mouth to help try and cover the teeth a little bit more. With this build, it doesn't look like the teeth are going to be 100% covered pretty much no matter what I do. So I'm just going to go with the middle of the road. Next, I'm going to have the option of hair color. That's the top right hand side over here. And that's an add-on called Overwolf that just popped out on my screen there. I use that add-on, but that's an option for people. Now, the top option says hair colors, and again, we have these areas where we can choose what color we want. So they have a kind of a dark gray color covered with a purple. I can also go to a darker brown color and highlight it with a blonde, and you can have more of a brunette. If you want to go with a dark blonde, you choose one of the lighter browns, and then your highlight color and you can actually end up with a light blonde, or you can even highlight to a darker color. Go with a lighter base and highlight to a darker color, and you'll get some of these other color variants that'll start showing up. Now the thing that's kind of unique about this is they allow you to put in odd colors. So I can highlight blue, I can highlight purple, I can highlight green. I can use these as base colors as well. So I mean, like if you wanted a complete punk character as far as hair goes, you could do a bright green hair with a light green or a light blue kind of a highlight to it, and you can get those really wild colors for like punk hair, rave hair, things like that. So I mean, the character customization here is really pretty diverse as far as what you can create. With me, I think I'm going to go more with a more traditional color, where my base color is going to be a dark brown, reddish brown, and I'm going to go with a lighter highlight color like this. Now, the next option right under the colors is a slider bar again. It starts off at hair 7, which is this kind of ponytail design. But if I move back and forth, you'll see that her hair completely changes. Goes to a little pump knot in the back. Here's one where she's got like the little princess tiara across her hair. So you've got, it's just a jeweled tiara. I can go back again and she's just got all of her hair down with some bangs across the front. Uh, a little shorter style cut is number 3. Number 2 is almost a pixie looking cut. Number 1, she has the jeweled princess look with her hair being pulled into a short ponytail behind her. And if I go the other way, I can go up to 8, and she has like a kind of a bob going on here. 9 is just kind of wild and wind blown back. 10 is just longer hair, comb to the side. 11 is a ponytail that's kind of falling out, like she's been roughhousing or something. And then the last is option 12, where we take it back kind of like you might expect from like a medieval group somewhere, where they just pull it back in little pump knots. They put the hair pieces in, and they end up with one of those wilder looks from most of your fantasy or science fiction type movies. So you have a bunch of options as far as what you want your hair to look like. I think I'm going to put this one into the jeweled short ponytail. Now next you have the option of markings. Now the markings here are in green right now, which makes them a little bit harder to see. I'm going to change them to a purple so that they're a little bit more of a contrast and easier to see right here on the side of the neck. It's set up on this one as a default for marking 5. So we'll move this all the way over to marking 1, and what you'll see is it changes the way that the marking is. It's kind of like a neck tattoo, what they call markings. And as I move, you'll see that it adjusts what it looks like. Most of these stay at like the sides and the back of the neck. A couple of them go up onto the face. So you do have to turn a little bit every now and then just to be able to make sure that you see everything. On the male characters, if I remember right, some of them actually come down across the front of the neck even, not just staying back here kind of hidden away like these do. So they get a lot more extreme on some of the characters. So I have the option of any of these markings that I want, and these are basically like tribal markings or clan markings, however you want to look at it. But if I go all the way to number 13, the very end of the markings, no matter what character it is, 13 is completely clear. There is no marking whatsoever. So I'm going to say, okay, this was one of the characters that was created with no marking, no allegiance, so to speak. And then I'm going to move from markings to the next section that is makeup. Again, I have a color set. They put it into a weird dark blue color here. I'm going to move it back over to a little bit more of a reddish tone. What you'll see is that the lip color changes from that blue to a red. I can actually change it to brighter reds. You can go to yellows, you can go to greens, and you'll see that the lipstick color changes pretty much. It's what we're really focused on. I'm going to go with a more natural looking color of standard lipstick like you would get from crushing berries or something. Now, they start up on the slide bar just below that with a makeup 10. Now this is again a slide, so you can just hit the arrows, or you can take and click the ball and move it back and forth. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to 1, and we're just going to sit here and look. Now what you're going to be wanting to focus on here is right here at the eyes. As you move side to side, you're going to see that the eye makeup is actually what's being changed each time. It changes color, it changes shape, it changes how far out it goes, if it's real close cropped, or if it's something that stretches out a little bit more and actually tries to grab more attention. So you've got a number of options here. You can go with really dark colors. You've got a couple of them that are lighter. You have some that have like the eyeliner where it's like, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to stretch it this way and curl it that way to make it look a lot more tribal and the way that people used to try and attract other people's attention by exaggerating features or even creating new features on themselves. I'm going to stay with this purplish color because I think that looks good with the eyes and everything. With the color of blue I have, it almost gives a slight purplish tinge to the eyes. So I'm going to go with this purple color, which is makeup 3, and I'm going to keep the berry color down here for the lips. Now the next option, and I can just use my scroll key on my mouse, and I can scroll in and out that way to see really close up what's going on, or to scroll out and kind of see her as a whole. I'm scrolling out a little bit here because the next option says body, and I get a skin color and a height. Now this skin color, she's starting off in one of the lighter colors. Okay, she can actually go really kind of a palish yellow white color, and she can get darker to where she's almost black in nature. There's the full range from a dark black to lighter blacks, kind of an Indian look right here, like a Native American Indian. There's a whitish look. There's a Chinese kind of a coloration. I mean, you just kind of have to slide back and forth and find the point. You can just click right here and drag it around, and you can adjust through the different colors until you find what it is that you're actually looking for. But there's a lot of different skin tones in this game, and this is the original pack that came with the game. So this is what you're going to get if you don't buy anything extra. Just right out of the box, here it is. As soon as you download it, you've got these colors available to you. Now, if I wanted more colors, I can click right here, and you'll see there's blue tones, dark tones, purple tones, pink tones, light tones. These are all available via an in-game purchase, and those will allow me to have even more skin tones available instead of just this base set. But again, that's going to be for a later tutorial. That's not for this. So avoid clicking these little pluses out to the side, because that's what those are referring to as in-game purchases. Now the next thing is I'm going to scroll all the way out, and you can see right here where she's right at the same height as this little top piece that goes across. If we look at the height right here, we can shrink her down, and we can grow her up tall. So we can actually choose if we want a short character, a medium range character, or a very tall character. And that's kind of a matter of, personal preference. I tend to like to make slightly taller characters, unless I'm making a dwarf, in which case I try and make them as short as I can, because the game doesn't have something like a gnome, so the dwarf is the closest you're going to come. So I'm going to take her and I'm going to put her up just slightly above 3/4. And I have this character. Now, all of this customization that I've done and said, yes, this is exactly how I want this character to look, I can do away with every bit of that if I don't know what I'm doing here. Why they put the preset at the very end down here, I have no idea. To me, I think the preset should be up here at the very top, the very first thing that you do to your character. But I've done this before, and I'm going to do it here so I can show you what I mean. I've gone through all this work to set this character exactly the way I want. I have the character designed and looking the way I want. And then I'll go, oh, what's this preset? Preset 5. Well, everything else has changed a single little aspect of this character, so it makes sense that this would change one aspect. Instead, when I start hitting presets, performing this action will cause you to lose all current changes. It pops up and it tells me it's going to change everything about my character. If I click OK, all of a sudden what I find is these presets have wildly different looks. So in other words, I've just put all this time into creating a character that I now have completely lost. I'm back to the preset 5 that we started with, or I have to choose a different preset to work from. And that means you can lose a lot of time by not realizing that this preset is in the wrong place. This is something that should be right here at the very top when you first start making your character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through really quick, and I'm just going to make a couple of quick adjustments here. Nothing drastic, but it is going to adjust the character back a little bit closer to what I was wanting. And once you've done this a couple of times, you'll find out it gets really easy. So don't just look at this and go, oh my goodness, what's going on? When you get to the point of where you've done this a couple of times, you've created a couple of characters, you're going to find that this process goes really quick. So this is approximately back where I was. Let's see, the makeup was a purplish color, like a berry, and the makeup was down in one of the earlier numbers, if I remember right. Was it a 3? Yeah, it looks like a 3 was what it was. Okay, So I've now got everything set up on my character again, pretty close to the way that it was before, back with no markings, the hair color, roughly the eye color, makeup styles, everything that I had before. So the next thing I have to do before I can actually start playing the game is I actually have to name my character. Now, a lot of people are sitting here going, oh my goodness, I have to name my character, what do I do? Well, they're really nice and they give you this little random button like a lot of these other games do. But what you'll see is that this random button gives you some really weird out there names where it just almost looks like they've thrown a bunch of letters together. Like, how do you even pronounce this name? Falrolane or something like that. I mean, it just doesn't flow at all. So what I would suggest is going out to a name generator online or taking a name that you already know and changing a couple of letters on it. Okay? For instance, I could take, let's take the name Brianna. Okay? Briana. That's usually going to be a name that's going to be taken. But if I change one or two letters on it, or I add a letter to it, a lot of times that'll be enough to be able to change it. So if I have Brianna, what if I change the N to an R, and now instead of Brianna I have Briara, and then I take right after the A where I have Briara, what if I put an S there and make it Brisara? And then instead of a B for a Brisara, what if I change that B, let's just take the B away and start with an I. So now I have Risara. And once I've made a couple of changes to my basic name, that way, just by changing a couple of letters or taking a letter out here or there, I can click on Next, and oh, somebody actually has done this one. And so you can work on it that way, and you can come up with different name options. So with Risara, that's not going to work. So what if I take the S and I change it over to a Z? And let's change the R back to an N and see if anybody has Rosanna. And nobody has it. So what happens is I get my load screen. The little yellow number up here is actually my overwolf, also telling me how many frames per second I have. So I get this nice little cut screen, and I can sit here and watch this cut screen, and it'll tell me the whole little story about what's going on and how everything's playing out. I'm going to see how the Guardians come in and smash all the technology, how they think they're doing what's right, following what the Vigils commanded, and how the Defiants have to basically try and overcome. If I don't want to watch this, I can hit the escape key, and it'll automatically put me into a load screen. Or you can watch the whole video, and then it'll just load into this load screen afterwards. So that's going to get me set up to the very beginning of the game where I'm actually in the game world. I will come back to the game world in another video tutorial, and I hope this has helped.